So, so the book begins with my fictional family travelling in convoy from where they live, from their farm in the Eastern Highlands, which is the mountainous area of the tea-growing district of Rhodesia, to one of the tobacco-growing farms to visit family. So they're going in convoy, and we sort of open with them just leaving their farm. And I'm going to sit down because I haven't long had a baby, and I think I will sit. Let me know if you can't hear me. I've been known as a bit of a loudmouth, so. Time floats on hot afternoons like this. Birds are silent, their claws melded to branches like twigs, and the dogs nap in the shade. Up here, our whitewashed tin-roofed house sits splat on the side of the purple mountains that stretch all the way through the eastern highlands of Rhodesia into Mozambique. Underneath the avocado tree, us Camerons climb into the Simca. Dad tries to start the choky engine. There's a few swear words, sorry. But it has to be authentic. A shit man. Dad wipes the sweat from his forehead and tries again. The engine splutters at us, but then goes back to sleep. Everyone out, sighs Dad. Oh, no man, Dad, us three kids say. Out, Dad says again. Mom puts her Uzi on the floor of the passenger seat as she gets out of the car. I hope the safety's on, Dad says to her back as he tries to start the engine again. I said out, man, chop chop. Us kids get out and arrange ourselves along the back of the car in our usual way. The sun slaps us on our backs. We place our hands on the back of the car and start pushing. John falls over and says shit, and soon we are laughing more than pushing. Soon Dad is yelling. This makes us hose ourselves even more. Mum laughs too. For pity's sake, Irene, I'm trying to get us to the farm and you're behaving like the bloody kids. Dad half gets out of the car and glares at Mum. Pity's sake, John says. Mum starts up laughing again, bending over the back of the car till her forehead hits the bodywork. When she raises her head, her forehead is smeared with red soil. None of us can stop laughing. Sometimes laughing just grabs you and whips you away like the wind and doesn't put you down again for a while, not until the laughter's become a painful, quiet clutching at your throat and an aching in your chest. We're going to miss the convoy, Dad shouts, not laughing, not smiling. We stop the laughing and give the car the biggest push it's ever known. The car splutters and jumps a little and then makes its way down the dirt track, leaving us behind in a cloud of red dust. It stops at the gate and waits for us, chugging, like a dog wagging its tail, for one of us to open the cattle gate. Mum ends up doing it. Us kids are already fighting for space on the back seat. Carla pinches John's leg to make him move up, and John gives me a Chinese burn. What did I do, I ask? It was Carla. Carla laughs, and John gives her a lamie on the top of her arm. Carla digs her freshly painted orange nails into John's thigh. He screams. Wasn't that sore? Carla laughs. It bloody was, Mum, John wails as Mum gets into the car. Mum sits down on the gun. For crying in a bucket, Irene, do you want to blow your ass off, Dad says. Look where you're sitting, man. Us kids laugh so much that John wheezes himself for all of us. Dad is fiddling with the radio. A minute passes. Dave, are we going? I thought we were in a hurry, says Mum. Yeah, when are we going, Dad, says Carla. Turn it up, Dad, I shout as Money, Money, Money starts up on Radio Jacaranda. I imagine Agneta and Frida in their hot pants. Blue satin for Agneta, my favourite. Green satin for Frida. In my head, they stand on stage back to back, towering above millions of hysterical fans in their platform boots. The lights flash and whiz round. Bjorn is playing the guitar like a lunatic. Benny is pounding the piano. Agneta is wiggling her bum. Frida smiles but still manages to look pissed off because she's not as sexy as Agneta. Carla, Mum and I all start singing. Ain't it sad, Dad? I yell. Dad laughs and joins in, singing in a baritone comedy voice. We stop singing one by one. Dad first, then Mum, then Carla, and then reluctantly me. Outside my window, the Masasa leaves are red and yellow and orange and look like fire on the sides of the hills. We're approaching the fork in the road where we're going to meet up with the others in the convoy. The Gaylards and the Macintoshes from local farms are already at the meeting point. A turn-off with a toilet block and a braai area, along with various neighbours in various cars. Mike McIntosh leans against his bakkie, 1 foot behind him on the tyre. He's talking to Pete Gaylard, who's smoking. Pete and Mike are both wearing shorts with check short-sleeved shirts and falzguns with socks up to their knees. His Kingsgate cigarettes stick out of the pocket over his chest. Their wives sit in their bakkies with their kids, lying around in the covered back section. Pete's girls look like boys, all with short hair. They jump out of the back of the bakkie to go to the toilet block. All three are wearing shorts. I think they wanted sons, Mum says, lighting a cigarette and waving at Mrs. Gaylard. About time, Cameron. Mike flicks his cigarette into the road. Car trouble, Dad says, getting out of the car. Bring your bucky, man, no trouble. Jan smiles at Dad and slaps his bucky as if it were a prize mombi. Leave the cars for the women. What's the matter with you, man? Peter's laughing. Dad laughs back, even though it's not funny. Adults always do this. Their laughing sounds painful, like spoons scraping on metal bowls. Mom waves at fat Mary Gaylord, who's getting something out of the bucky parked in front of us. Mary Gaylord looks just like her husband. Brown hair, round brown eyes, blobby nose, but with a big bum. Are we going, gentlemen? Mom smiles at the two men, even though she can't stand them. Carla looks at me and rolls her eyes. Pete and Mike start looking around for gentlemen. Sorry, can't see any, Pete says. Mike cracks up. Dad doesn't. Mum sighs and runs her hand through her short hair. She catches my eye in the mirror and winks. Outside my window, a concreted in Bryflace has a piece of dried up old Barroso stuck to it that looks like a poo. When are we going? John asks. Carla sighs and raises a hand to admire her nail varnish. I make a clicking sound in the front of my mouth and fold my arms. Dad starts up the engine as the other cars line up behind each other. As they do, guns begin to poke out of the passenger side windows, a sign to the tours that we're armed and dangerous, they better not attack us. We drive for hundreds of k's. The bush looks dry and sharp, even the leaves with everything tangling into each other. The trunks of the thorn trees are crispy grey, with thorns that are as white as bones and can poke right through your foot. After a few hours, we slow down behind a bus loaded with Africans, their luggage tied up to the roof. It's farting out clouds of smoke. We overtake, and us kids stare up at the bus. The Africans are stuffed in, some are standing. A woman with a baby on her lap stares at me in an unhappy way, so I smile at her, but she doesn't smile back. Maybe she thinks I'm laughing at her, a thought that makes me uncomfortable. Not many Africans can afford cars, which doesn't seem fair. That's just the way it is, Bantam, Dad says, when I ask. But why is that the way it is? We drive a bit further and slow down again. Footprints are stamped in the dust on the side of the road. Some look like tacky prints, others are large bare footprints. I wonder who they belong to. Is the owner of those feet in the bush watching us, tracking us? The Christmas beetles are screaming so loudly in the bush it's like a hum in the back of your head. After a while, a loud rumbling sound can be heard behind us. Check, it's a crocodile, John shouts, waving out the back window at the armoured troop carrier. Carla and I look out the back window. Soldiers armed, some with FN rifles, angle out from the little windows on the side of the covered heavy armoured vehicle. Check their guns, man, John says. It's like a robot box on a lorry with bars over the top. Honeycomb shape in the front, Carla says. A long hexagonal shape, I say. Yeah, it's brilliant, Dad says. Rhodesian ingenuity. We've come up with some brilliant vehicles and we've stuffed functions up the... Leave the description out in front of the kids, Dave, Mum says. Up the nostrils of the Poms, the Yanks, and the rest of the... What rhymes with Yanks, Irene? World? World does not rhyme with Yanks, Dad, John says. Well, how about Yankers, Dad says, winking at Mum. Yeah, John says, stuff the Yankers. They won't yank our country from us, I say, biting the skin around my right thumbnail. Sis, man, don't eat yourself, Jane, Carla says. Yeah, you're not a cannibal, John says. Might be. This might be the first stage, I tell John, and start on the skin around my pinky. Carla sighs and lifts her barely supple leg up to the roof of the car and points her toe. If she could, she'd write the word boredom on the ripped ceiling of the car. That's enough, John, Mum says. She takes a drag of her cigarette, then she holds it up in her right hand like a model posing in a magazine, which is quite funny because she has a gun in her other hand. The crocodile overtakes us, followed by other army vehicles. Carla stops stretching her legs, flicks her hair, arches her back, smiles and waves out the window. It's quite a show, I tell you. John leans over her legs to wave and she pushes his head down, but he keeps wriggling free and popping back up like a jack-in-the-box. It's quite a comedy. The convoy slows down and the Rhodesian soldiers wave and whistle. Up ahead, guns are being raised out of the windows of our convoy in salute to the army guys. The one in the shades was good looking, Carla says, settling back into her seat. Did you see, Mom? Nah, she only has eyes for me, Dad says, giving a thumbs up to the final truck in the passing convoy. Hey, Irene. Mom rolls her eyes at Dad and squeezes his leg. After the excitement of the army vehicles, us kids sleep for a while, and when I wake up, the landscape has changed into grassy veldt. Grasses rise higher and greener, and umbrella thorn trees crop their flattened green tops here and there on the plain. Gigantic prehistoric balancing rocks, some with lichen stains like poured icing, blub up here and there. We pass the thick black heavy shape of a baobab tree, like a monster's head sitting on the earth, but looking as if it's just risen out of the sea, its stubby branches sticking upwards like shocked dreadlocks. In the crevices of the huge trunk I see darker shapes, grooves that could be eyes, knobbly parts that could be noses, ears, anything. like watching the puffy shapes of clouds, only darker, scarier. This is not a tree I would like to climb. There are no clouds in this bright blue sky. For a while the cars are spread out a bit and the Duplessis green Renault station wagon in front of us seems far off. But then we come in close enough to see the sun glinting off the back fender. I can see the rifle that Mrs. Duplessis' unseen hands are holding poking out of the passenger window up ahead. I'd like to have a go on it. I've only ever shot an Uzi apart from revolvers and stuff. Automatics are much more fun. No one is speaking. Dad is concentrating on the road. Mum is holding a gun up out of the window as if there's someone here, and she's just said, "Stick 'em up." She looks as though she should have another gun in her other hand. She rests the gun on the outside of the car just in front of her window near to the roof of the car. I can see it juddering out of the corner of my left eye. Mum's face is sleepy in her side mirror. Dad is concentrating on the road. Next to me, Carla has her eyes shut and John is staring out the window into the bush on the right-hand side of the road where he sits behind Dad. As I watch, his eyes go half-mast, roll a bit, and then the lids shut down and he's out. The back of Dad's neck is sunburnt a deep reddish brown from where his neck sticks up out of his t-shirt. He's very still. His neck looks stiff. The world slowly rolls by like a khaki-coloured film outside my window. A mozzie has managed to get into the car. It hovers above us kids in the back, and it moves near Mum and Dad in the front. Dad becomes aware of its slow whine. Suddenly, Dad slaps his leg. At the same time, there's a loud crack as Mum fires a shot into the air. The Duplessis in front of us slam on their brakes. So does Dad. We all jolt forward. My senses scatter like spilt pins. Dad is leaning out of the window. "Irene's gun! An accident!" he shouts out of the window to the Duplessis car up ahead. "It's okay." He gets back in. Mum is saying, "I'm sorry, Dave." Us kids are in shock. Still sleepy, John is asking, "Was that the tours, Mum?" "How could you be so bloody stupid, Irene?" Dad yells. "If there are any tours in that bush, they'd know about us now." Imagine them, hiding in the bush, laughing at us. I look down at my hands. They are jumping up and down on my legs and are wet with sweat. "Can we just go quickly?" Carla looks pale, her thin fingers press into Dad's seat. John urges, "Yes, let's go now, Dad." Mum reaches behind to touch John's leg. "It's all right, love. Go back to sleep," she says. "Just go back to sleep, eh? For sure," I say. Dad is looking at Mum like he expects some kind of explanation. "They've moved off again, Dave, please," Mum looks at Dad. I cannot see her face, only the side of it, the white skin on her cheek, the black hair curling under her ear. Imagine breaking down here on the road, the convoy not noticing, just driving off and leaving us. The cars getting smaller and smaller till they vanish, leaving us Camerons in our Simca with our small gun that goes off when Dad slaps his leg to kill a mozzie. I think I'll stop there. I think I've been reading for ages. So that's about half of the first chapter, and then it goes on to the farm where there's another incident on the farm.
Wow. Yeah.